Hey everyone, Siri here. Welcome to my channel, Equipped for the Day. I'm on day 2 of reviewing, just going through my Bible study notes from this past year and just sharing with you some highlights. I hope it's helpful. Last time it was about God is the creator and initiator. Today we're in Genesis 4, and the highlights are from the story of Cain and Abel. So as you know, Cain and Abel are Adam and Eve's sons, and Abel's role was to take care of the flock. Cain's role was to take care of the fruits and vegetables. Now this is a story of offering worship to God, and we see a contrast here where Cain offered false worship. He did not offer something that was pleasing to God, did not offer something that was required by God, as God had already modeled in the first sacrifice, which God himself provided. That first sacrifice, when Adam and Eve sinned, God killed an animal. It was a blood sacrifice to provide covering for Adam and Eve after they sinned and after they were exposed in shame and fear. So a pleasing offering to God is a blood offering. Now, Abel offered a blood offering, but Cain offered a bloodless offering of fruits and vegetables to God. And so this is not a pleasing sacrifice, as God had ordained and instructed and even modeled in the very first sacrifice. Abel knew what God would accept, and I believe that Cain knew what God would accept as well, but yet Cain chose to do things his way and not God's way. And in verse 3 of Genesis 4, God tells Cain, because Cain became angry that God would not accept his offering. God said in verse 6, God says to Cain, "Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." So here we see that Cain knew what to do, yet his arrogance and his anger and his flesh took over, and he became jealous of his brother Abel. And that led Cain to killing his brother Abel. Who was in the wrong here? Cain was clearly in the wrong. He offered false worship, yet he didn't even take the time to look at what he did to reflect on the wrongdoing, the wrong offering that he was giving to God. And he actually became angry. He didn't evaluate himself, but he became angry and directed that anger at Abel, who offered the proper sacrifice. So Cain chose his way. He did not choose God's way, and he became unrepentant. And the consequence of Cain's unrepentance is that he had to wander as a fugitive in the desert. If we know clearly what God requires, if we know what is pleasing to God, do we still act in arrogance and stubbornness and try to do things our way? Sometimes we can't give in. Sometimes we can't justify, oh, I want to do it this way, because ... And we're so good at justifying ourselves, our actions, our thoughts. But in the end, that would just lead to death. That would just lead to discontentment. It will just lead to discord and conflict in the end. And it will not make us happy. It will not lead us to a place where we're at peace with God and with other people. So take time to reflect that we would end this year well, end this year God's way and not our way. So I pray that for myself too, to continue to be obedient to God, to be aware of what he wants. That's number one. Know what God wants. Know what he requires. Know the expectations that God has clearly laid out for us in his word. That means we need to know his word, be anchored in his word, and so that we can follow his word and offering up a pleasing sacrifice to the Lord in our lives every single day. Thank you for watching. I pray that this was helpful and was a blessing to you.